ZaxAudio presents Dragon Feathers, Part 1. A short story written by Vampire Squirrel. Evelyn carefully jogged along the narrow, snowy beach, leaping silently to the next tree. She stayed closer to the ground than usual, due to the wet snow falling from the gray sky overhead. She usually loved hunting in winter, but the sludge made it difficult to move through the trees at her normal pace. She contemplated turning back for the day and waiting for the snow to end, but earlier that morning she had found a nest of recently shed feathers in one of the cliff caves and hated the idea of losing the trail of the young beast, when all of her other trails had gone cold, literally. As Evelyn made her way west, the trees began to thin, and she wished she had brought her makeshift wings with her. They didn't work extremely well, dropping over the wet sky, but they were much faster than being on the ground. At the slow pace she would have to travel on the ground, the young dragon would easily lose her. She gave up the hunt and headed back to search the cave again. She climbed down the wet, slippery cliff to the entrance of the cave. It was dark and cold, but sheltered from the wind. Evelyn removed a small, red crystal from the inside pocket of her coat and whispered into her cupped hands. She slowly opened them to reveal the now glowing stone, and walked to the back of the cave where she had found the nest of feathers. She looked around but found nothing worth keeping. Evelyn squeezed the glowing crystal in her left hand as she reached the entrance and blew a quick, heavy breath into the crystal, causing the light to quickly fade. Placing the stone back in the safety of her pocket, she started the difficult task of climbing back up the cliff. This was another time when her wings would have been quite useful, but she enjoyed the challenge. The trees were the easiest way to travel for young hunters anyway, as long as they didn't carry any large and heavy weapons with them. Light swords and small but powerful bows worked the best, unless you were skilled in the moon arts. Evelyn knew of no one who was skilled in much more than the basics. She herself was more skilled than most, but would not succeed in killing even the smallest animals. She soon arrived at the path down to the northern caves. The hunters had been staying there a while, tracking a large ice dragon, but they had lost the trail due to the early snow and were preparing to head back south. There were only 6 hunters in their group: her father, a family consisting of a couple and their young son, who was still in training, an old friend of her father, who taught her everything she knew about the moon arts, and herself. She entered the large cave to find young Liam fighting an imaginary opponent. She quickly grabbed her own wooden sword and jumped into the fight, taking the place of the non-existent man. Evelyn loved helping Liam improve his fighting skills, and Liam appreciated the advice that she gave him. "Find any trails worth tracking?" Liam asked once Evelyn had tapped his head with her sword, ending the fight. "Yeah, I found a nest of feathers a youngling had just shed recently, so I was tracking it. But this wet snow we're getting makes it difficult to travel in the trees, and it was covering what little trail the dragon had left, so I turned back. If I had taken my wings with me, I might have followed it." "When can I learn how to fly?" Liam was very excited about the idea of flying, and he asked Evelyn when he could fly whenever the subject was brought up. "When your parents say you can, and after I have made you some wings." Evelyn had promised him that when she got another dragon, she would make him a pair of wings out of its wing leather, like the one she had made for herself. And when his parents thought he was ready, she would teach him how to use them. "Why can't I use your wings?" "Like I told you before, they're too big for you." "I'm not that much smaller than you." "Yes, I know." He was actually quite a bit smaller. He was only 12 and she was 17. "But Liam, the frame has to fit your body, or they won't work properly. And when they don't work properly, there's a good chance of losing control, spiraling to the ground, and going splat." She demonstrated the splat by bringing her right hand, him, down to meet her left hand, the ground, creating a loud echo in the cave that made Liam jump. "Fine, I'll wait for my own wings." Liam started to walk away, his head down with disappointment. Evelyn took this opportunity to tap him on the side with her sword, thus began another fight. The next morning, they started their journey south. They planned to follow the cliff face and stay in the caves along the way. Evelyn loved traveling. It gave her a chance to talk to Nevia, Liam's mother. Her own mother had died when she was 8. She had foolishly chosen to fight a black dragon. They were called death dragons for a reason. Evelyn saw Neva as a mother figure, and Neva treated her as a daughter. Her and Liam were like siblings. They would often play games and also get annoyed with each other and have arguments. A typical brother-sister relationship, but they still loved each other as family. When they stopped in the evenings, Evelyn would take Liam with her to go hunting for supper. This is when she would teach him about tracking. They would find a rabbit trail, and she'd let Liam do most of the tracking. Then she'd let him try it at shooting the prey with his bow. He wasn't a bad shot, which made her proud, since she was the one who taught him. They take their kill back to camp, where she gave Liam the pleasure of skinning them. This was partially for learning purposes, and partially because she had had her fair share of the task when she was younger. They finally arrived at the South Court, the place they stayed when not on hunting trips that led them to the north. They called it that based on its design. It was a large, round space with high walls and no ceiling, and it had a small entrance. They called this the courtyard. There were 5 caves lining the wall, a large cave directly opposite the entrance with 2 medium-sized caves to its right and left, and beside them were 2 small caves for storage. The courtyard was the perfect place for Liam's training. They had targets set up for archery and fighting dummies for swordsmanship. Evelyn and Liam would often have races and climbing contests. Evelyn would occasionally let Liam win. The day finally arrived when Liam would track his first dragon. The day before, Evelyn had searched for a trail that would be good for a first hunt. Liam decided he wanted Evelyn to hunt with him, so they set out, bows slung across their backs and daggers hanging from their belts. Liam silently jumped from the tree and walked over to the cliff edge. Peering over, he saw a red dragon tail disappear into the side of the cliff. "Evelyn," he whispered, excitement evident in his voice. "Did we find it?" She was almost as excited for this moment as he was. They climbed down to the cave's entrance and waited. The dragon needed to be close enough to the entrance so they could get a good shot. The moment came, and they attacked. Liam made a killing blow, sending an arrow straight into the eye, piercing the brain. The dragon fell, as did Evelyn's jaw. "That was amazing!" And she meant it. It took her several hunts to deliver such a perfect shot. Well, I had a great teacher. He ran over to the felled beast. It wasn't as big as most, but still the size of a horse. Evelyn pulled out her crystal and whispered into her hands, causing a red glow to illuminate the cave. An arrow had pierced the dragon's wing, but there was still enough undamaged to make Liam a pair. She searched the cave and found a nest. "Liam, come here," she called, reaching into the nest. Liam came running, bow in hand. "What is it?" Evelyn held up a smooth red egg with small black speckles. "It's a dragon egg." Liam looked sadly back at the slain dragon. "So, was that its mother?" Evelyn looked at the lifeless creature, then back at the egg in her hands. She had an idea. "Liam, how would you like to raise a dragon?" His eyes filled with wonder, then concern. "Would our parents allow it?" "No, probably not." "That's why we'll keep it a secret, and you and I are the only ones who can know about it. We can find a safe cave close to the South Court and wait for it to hatch." "What will we do once it hatches?" Evelyn thought for a moment. "We'll move it to a safer place, and when it's bigger, we can reveal to our parents that it's tame and won't hurt anyone, and hopefully, they won't try to make us release him." She made the egg a pouch, using her coat, and set it on the ground while helping Liam cut off the wings of the dead creature, so they wouldn't be damaged on the way home. They then tied ropes to the wingless dragon's legs and carefully lowered it to the ground. They wrapped the wings in cloth to keep them unharmed and lowered them down as well. Evelyn tied her coat around her with the egg safe inside and slowly made her way down the cliff. Liam had already fastened the wings to the side of the beast and was ready to head out when she made it to the sandy ground. They each grabbed a rope and began pulling the dragon toward the south court. "All right, hold your wings out, slightly bent. Good." Liam stood at the edge of a low cliff, holding out his wings. Evelyn had used the wings of his first kill to make them. "Okay, now you're just gonna kinda jump and fall forward while keeping your wings in place. Ready?" Evelyn stood beside him, wings out, as did Decimus, the small fire dragon who had finally hatched after a week of impatient visits from the young hunters. Liam nodded. "On the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They jumped as one, their wings catching the salty ocean breeze. Liam looked over at her, a big smile on his face. She smiled back, then looked over to Decimus, who was doing quite well for only 5 weeks old. "I'm flying!" "Yes, you are. Now, move your arms down and then back up, like so." Evelyn demonstrated this motion, raising her upward into the sky. Liam and Decimus did likewise. "This is amazing!" Liam had wanted to fly for as long as he could remember, and his parents had finally agreed to let her teach him. "Are you ready to land?" Landing was one of the most important steps to learn. Evelyn glided down lower, and the others followed. "Keep your wings steady and prepare to run." Evelyn's feet touched the ground as she started running, slowly pushing her wings back to close them. She slowed and turned to watch Liam. Decimus slowly lowered himself onto her shoulder, while Liam touched down, started running, and thud! "Liam!" Evelyn ran to him. He sat up and spat a mouthful of sand. "Are my wings okay?" She examined the wings and found no damage. "They're fine. Are you okay?" Liam pulled his arms out of their holders on the wings and nodded. He walked back to the cliff and began to climb. Evelyn followed. "Go on, Desi." The small red creature scaled the cliff in no time. On the 4th try, Liam made a clean landing, receiving shouts of approval from Evelyn and little spouts of smoke from Decimus, who was not quite skilled enough to breathe fire yet. They climbed the cliff again and took off. They spent most of the day in the air, flying along the ocean shore. As the sun began to vanish, they flew back to the large cave they had found Decimus after he had hatched. "See you tomorrow, Desi," the 2 hunters said before jumping from the cliff and flying back to the south court. When Decimus was 5 months old, he was breathing fire and hunting small squirrels and rabbits. Evelyn decided it was time to reveal his existence to her father and the rest of the hunters. When Evelyn entered the courtyard, Decimus was curled around her shoulders. She stopped as everyone looked over at her. "This is Decimus, a friendly dragon." Her father stood, taking a few steps toward her. "What is this, Evelyn? A death wish? Dragons are dangerous. Get rid of it." He turned to walk away. "No!" Her father stopped but did not turn. "If you wish to disregard the safety of this group by keeping a dragon, then leave. And don't return. You have lost your right to be a hunter by befriending the very creatures we hunt to keep people safe. The creatures that burn down villages and freeze entire fields, leaving people hungry." Liam rose in protest. "What about me? I helped raise him. Are you going to send me away as well?" Her father spun to face her. "You have poisoned the mind of a young boy with lies. Get out of my sight!" They turned as one, walking in opposite directions. Liam started running after her. "Don't follow me, Liam!" He stopped, tears forming in his eyes. Decimus looked back to him, releasing a small flame in farewell. Then they were gone.